noticed that the gross annual figures have broken down by type of account. Industry, service, personal.
I read the letter of agreement. I know what I'm buying.
How long will it take to draw up the contract?
A couple of weeks.
Month.
Peter? 2 weeks.
We'll compromise, Mr. Towery, 3 weeks.
Done. And call me Ogden. You're practically a member of the Towery family. And remember this. This is still your business. I want you to run it, the way you always have. I didn't buy Randall and Associates just to own a PR company. I bought you. What I'm telling you is, I'm about to make you a very rich man. Rich means free. Free to do whatever the hell you want. When you get home at night. At night, the world is yours. During the day, you can't have it both ways. You know what I mean?
Sorry. Is there anything I can do?
First flight out.
You're on flight 761, and the ticket is at the airport.
We got at least 45 minutes.
I never make it.
I'll make it. You know where to reach me?
Got all 3 numbers, and your sister's meeting you at the airport. Good luck.
Yeah. You guys watch the store, huh?
Right.
Call Tony for me. I didn't get a chance.
Yeah, do I get her at your place?
No, at hers. We slept there. My place is being painted.
Mr. Stephen Randall to the Red Courtesy Fund, please.
Here, check me in, will you?
You're not gonna make it.
We'll make it here.
Flight 22, now departing.
Hello, this is Stephen Randall. Wanda, what the hell is so important that...
Don't take my head off, but the man called in personally. I told him that, but he wants to be sure you'll see him the minute you get back. Wheeler, George L. He's president of Mission House Publishing.
All right, what's the message?
I couldn't find out exactly, but he did say it had something to do with your representing a brand new Bible.
Good, tell him to forget it.
Well, I would have, except for this really strange message he wanted me to give you. He said, if Mr. Randall is a doubting Thomas, tell him to open up his New Testament to Matthew 28, verse 7. Now, I know you don't carry a pocket edition, so I looked it up myself. And the passage in Matthew begins with, and I'm quoting, go quickly and tell his disciples that he is risen from the dead. It's the chapter about Christ's resurrection.
Is that all?
That plus what Wheeler said just before hanging up. That he wants you to handle the second resurrection.
What, is he some kind of a religious fanatic?
He was very calm and very serious. And he made the whole project sound, well, too important to ignore.
Not too important for me to ignore. Wanda, I'm gonna miss my plane, all right?
But what'll I tell Wheeler?
You tell him my father is dying of a stroke.
Do you think I enjoy castigating my own son?
I think you enjoy passing judgment on me, except when I send you enough money to keep this place running. How do you manage that, Reverend?
How can I tell you anything until it's within you to believe?
Father, what? in heaven.
I know it's not a pretty sight, but we're lucky he's alive.
Is it that bad?
Did you ever hear of a good intracranial blockage?
I mean stroke.
They're usually accompanied by at least temporary paralysis of one side.
Yes, is it possible we could supplement your efforts, Doctor? Bring someone in from the outside?
The outside? Oh, you mean for another
Yeah,
opinion?
like Chicago. I assume there's some outstanding neurologists there.
That may very well be. But just for the record, Mr. Randall, I'm usually the one they bring into Chicago from the outside for an opinion.
No offense.
None taken. I would just like you to know that this is not a horse and buggy operation. I practice in Oak City by choice. If you will be kind enough to let me get back to work.
Thanks for telling me off so nicely.
Anytime.
George Wheeler's still leaning on me. Remember the Bible publisher?
What does he want this time?
He's pressing for a conference. He wants it at his place at noon tomorrow. Oh, and for the record, Mission House publishes more religious material than the next 5 houses combined.
That does not shake me up.
Well, then maybe this will. The other person leaning on me is Ogden Towery himself.
So, Mr. Randall, now that you've met our Mission House family, I'd like to welcome you myself. However, I would like to bolster my welcome with a hopefully brief but personal confession of faith. Now, these poor souls have heard this a number of times, so I will try to, like the spinster's last fling, make it short and sweet. 6 years ago, Mr. Randall, when I was 56 years of age, I'm afraid I was a bit of a cliche. I was the typical aging, self-made man. I had no financial problems, no health problems, no hobbies, no family, and I'm afraid absolutely no reason for living. In fact, my pre-dinner sherry had become 5 straight bourbons, and the only compelling thing in my entire life was trying to fix my rather atrocious golf game. And then, one afternoon, Tuesday it was, just before the close of business here at Mission House, something came into my life that turned me around completely. And it had the same effect, to varying degrees, everyone in this room. I'm sure you won't be any exception to that rule, sir. So, may I call you Steve?
Sure.
Welcome, Steve. Welcome to Mission House.
Thank you for the welcome, George. Thank you for the coffee.
Perfectly all right. Well, we have work to do, so suppose we get cracking. Naomi?
What can Randall and Associates do for you?
Well, I was about to get to that. To run it down quickly for you, there are 5 major publishing houses involved in this thing. Mission House here in America, and then we have the 2 top houses in Britain and on the continent. The overall budget is $11 million, $4 million to be spent alone here in America, domestically. Your budget will be just under $1 million for PR, and may I say that that is the largest PR budget in the history of religious publications. Mr. Randall, I get a rather overwhelming feeling that your enthusiasm is not very great. And enthusiasm is absolutely essential in this project, sir.
Well, give me something to be enthusiastic about.
I like that. Shows integrity. That's why I want you to be a part of Resurrection 2.
Resurrection 2.
Yes, that's our code name for the project within these walls. Mr. Randall, we've got something new. So new, in fact, that it will make all versions of the New Testament completely obsolete.
What's so new about your Bible, George?
there I have a bit of a problem. I've already told you more about this project than I should, considering that you haven't signed on with us enthusiastically, but I can tell you this, that archaeologists now are constantly turning up information that sheds a whole new light on early Christian times. But I'm sorry. I'm very, very sorry, but I must have misunderstood Ogden Towery, because he told me that your presence here this morning meant that you were with us 100% in this project.
Ogden Towery does not speak for Randall and Associates, Mr. Wheeler.
Sorry.
So am I.
I'm sorry because of what you'll be missing in your life. You won't reconsider.
Gentlemen, it's done. That's our man.
Good morning.
Mr. Wheeler, I'm sorry it had to be so early, but there are only so many hours.
Perfectly all right. For the past 6 years, I've been an early riser. Besides, I wanted to catch you before the phone started ringing.
Have you caught me? You want to join?
No, I try not to drink before breakfast.
Disapprove of drinking?
No, I leave all judgment to a higher authority.
Amen. Sit down.
Randall, you wear your cynicism like a badge. Very depressing to me. So depressing, in fact, that I, against my better judgment, have decided to take you into my confidence.
Why would you want to do that? I'm a stranger.
Hardly a stranger. I know a little something about you, Mr. Randall.
You're separated from your wife. You're sleeping with a 21-year-old girl named Toni Nicholson. Drink to excess. Generally double vodkas on the rocks. And so on. However, I do have testimony from your clients that none of them ever felt they misplaced their faith in you.
That's flattering. That I'm not crazy about.
Oh. The only people that don't have dossiers on them these days are the unborn, Mr. Randall. I want you to come with me right now. Back to my office. I've got a car waiting downstairs, and I'm going to show you why you must join our crusade. 6 years ago, a leading archaeologist in Italy, a man named Augusto Monti, was digging near a place called Ostia Antica. Now, that was a seaport town for Rome during the 1st century. And he made a discovery that's going to change history. He discovered some antique documents, over a dozen papyrus leaves that tell a story that's going to dazzle the Christian world. They are the lost source of the so-called Q document, James the Just. He was the younger brother of Jesus.
The brother of Jesus?
Oh, yes. And when you read the translations, you'll be even more astounded, Mr. Randall, because they give in minute detail the life of Jesus Christ, the real Jesus Christ. The man walking this earth as a man among men. And that's the least of it, because they also record that Jesus Christ did not die on the cross. That's right. Through the help of God or the skills of a physician, he survived. He lived for 19 years preaching in the provinces, wound up in Rome, where he would have been 54 years of age. Now, this is a blow-up of one portion of the total manuscript. Now, of course, to the untrained eye, it's relatively meaningless, but at least it'll give you some idea of the antiquity of the entire document. Now, 21 of the world's great biblical scholars verified the authenticity of the document. Some of them worked on the Dead Sea Scrolls. Steve, I realize it must seem that I'm pushing you in this thing, and I don't mean to at all. In fact, we're sailing to London and then on to Amsterdam a week from tomorrow, and I would very much like to have you and your young lady join us to give us a leisurely time to convince you. More importantly, to give you time to make up your own mind. Now, once we reach Holland and you're not persuaded, well, it's an 8-hour flight home.
Mr. Randall, consider Matthew 28:7. And go quickly, and tell his disciples that he is risen from the dead. And behold, he goeth before you.
Unto Galilee, and there shall ye see him.
It's going to happen again, Steve. It's all right here in the document. But it isn't enough that we know. Everybody must know, and that's why we need your God-given talent to spread the word. Won't you join us on this great adventure?
When do we leave?
Steve, welcome. welcome.
George, this is Tony Nicholson.
Oh,
George,
she's even more lovely than you let on.
You're too kind.
Bob, nice to see you. Welcome. Make yourself at home.
Another way to keep a secret, George.
Oh, well, it's just an ordinary bon voyage party. Having no party at all would be more suspicious. Come on, I want you to meet some people who are important to us. Mike, excuse me, that's Mr. Evans. Ivan, please. Mr. Stonehill, Mr. Evans is with the American Bible Society, and Mr. Stonehill is with the National Council of Churches. Mr. Randall and Miss Nicholson, his secretary.
My pleasure, sir.
Oh, excuse me. Arrivals. I'll be right back.
Well, if you haven't heard of our organization before, well, our main business is dispensing Bibles to member churches, and we're darn proud of that, sir. Well, only last year, we distributed 15 million copies.
Boy, that's wild, Mr. Evans.
I'm Evan. He's Elmer.
Howdy, brethren.
You believe this?
Don't be cynical. Steve's about to set sail on the most spiritual excursion of his life.
I'm still trying to figure out why. Greed. Speaking of which, did you see Towery back there taking all of it in?
He's celebrating.
You don't have to sell. You don't need his money.
We made a decision.
I'll wrap it up. I want to catch him before he leaves.
Stay in touch with those.
Have a good trip. Mr. Randall, I'm sure you don't remember me. Naomi Dunn. I work at Mission House.
Sure I do.
Welcome aboard.
Thank you. You came to say goodbye.
Oh, no, I'm accompanying you and Mr. Randall.
Fine.
I'm going to be your teacher for this trip.
You're the prettiest teacher I've had since the second grade.
Thank you, Mr. Randall, but I'm sure you do not lack beautiful company.
This means that Brother Randall is taking on the new Bible account.
That means that Brother Randall is going on a fishing trip.
What do you expect to catch?
I'll let you know when I get to Amsterdam.
Don't you ever accept anything on faith?
Do you?
By the time you get back, the contracts will be ready to sign. Bon voyage.
Sailor?
Mr. Randall? You're sure that envelope's going to get to wherever it's supposed to?
You know, and he has.
Dr. Jeffries. Gloria and I. Oh, in the Hotel Krasnopolsky in Amsterdam. That's where we'll all be staying. We've installed the best security systems and personnel that money can buy.
What?
Well, there are people who would destroy what we're trying to build.
Mr. Randall, what we have is not just a curiosity piece for some museum. This is a new kind of Christianity. It's sort of a rebirth of the Christian spirit.
And there are reactionary forces in the religious community who would fight to the death to maintain the status quo.
And there are heretics who would gladly strip Christ of his divinity. And if just a few details got into their hands, they would distort it. And they would ruin the whole story before we get the true story to the public. Now, there's one man in particular.
Oh, Mary, I think that we've convinced Steve that there's a need for security.
Steve, lunch in 10 minutes. You gonna make it?
Yeah. Excuse me.
Of course. See you later, Steve.
Oh, George, I said something.
No, no, you didn't.
I thought he was supposed to...
Darling, wait a minute.
I'm sorry.
But it's all right, it's all right. It's just that he's got quite enough to chew on for the time being, and he's going to find out about the Dominie soon enough.
I must say, he has a fascinating face.
Mm-hmm. And a dangerous mind.
Sounds like a good band.
Tony doesn't feel well.
Oh, what's the matter, Miss Nicholson?
I really feel rotten.
Well, excuse us, I'll take you up to the
No,
cabin.
no, no. Stay and finish your coffee. I'll be all right.
Steve, it's way past my bedtime anyway, and we've got a lot of things to do in London tomorrow. I think we can all use some sleep. I'll see you back tomorrow. Good night.
Good night. See some more wine?
I'm fine, thank you.
You confuse me.
I do?
George Wheeler. I, thought you were here to, keep him company.
Oh, I do keep him company. In a way.
Does it mean you keep him company, or does it mean...
Isn't that a rather leading question?
I apologize.
Oh, no, please don't apologize. If you really want to know my lay opinion, I think you have a distinct talent for seduction. No, don't misunderstand me. I mean, of course, it's your job. You have to seduce, you have to involve, persuade. You publicity men. I also think you're a lot more sensitive than you let on.
Thank you for that.
What are you doing with Miss Nicholson? I mean, aside from young sex.
I, gotta say goodnight. Get to Southampton early in the morning.
Oh, you're right. We ought to get to bed.
Good night, Naomi.
Oh, would you come inside with me for a minute? I want you to help me with something.
Nice room.
Very nice. And very private. Mr. Wheeler lives down that way, about 5 miles down at the end of the suite. Now, would you please... Thank you, Mr. Randall. Call you Steve.
What's the agenda?
Well, we check in, I go to the British Museum, and you go shopping.
What's at the British Museum?
Who?
What?
Who is at the British Museum?
That's what I'm asking you.
Well, the who is Dr. Jeffries and Dr. Knight.
Medicine?
No, philology.
Oh.
Oh.
Mind if I tag along?
You'll be bored.
Try me.
You serious?
Absolutely. I'm here to work, Randall.
All work and no play will make you...
Did I say anything about not playing?
Call George and see what time we have to be at the museum.
Go ahead.
Mr. George Wheeler, please. George Wheeler, Stephen Randall.
Steve? Miss Nicholson? Steve, I want you to meet Dr. Jeffries. This is Steve Randall.
Hello, Dr. Jeffries.
Pleasure, Mr. Randall.
And his secretary, Miss Nicholson.
Even a greater pleasure. Welcome to the British Museum.
It's a fantastic building.
My dear young lady, what's inside is even more fantastic. Magna Carta, the Rosetta Stone, endless treasures. And, of course, our New Testament holdings.
Well, we're here to learn.
And so you shall.
And, of course, to meet Dr. Knight.
Ah. I'm afraid we have a bit of a problem with our resident wise child.
What's the problem?
Well, I received rather a distressing and mysterious phone call from his fiancée today. It seems that Florian has suddenly been taken ill. Quite ill, I gather, because he instructed Miss Hughes, that's his fiancée, to say he would not be well enough to work on our project.
Well, this is terrible. We were counting on him.
Perhaps too much. You must remember that Florian has a history of emotional disorders.
You mean could be a nervous breakdown?
I'm afraid I can't say, but he has an erratic, unstable personality. Still, there are other good scholars.
I'd like to talk to him.
That's a good idea. I'm afraid that's rather difficult at the moment. He refuses to see anyone.
And how about his fiancée?
If my memory serves me right, she works in the rare book section at Sotheby's. I'm afraid you'll be wasting your time.
George?
You want company?
Oh, no, you stay with Dr. Jeffries, Mr. Reno.
Yeah, this is most disturbing, Doctor. Most disturbing.
I'm afraid we're merely cataloging here.
I'm looking for Miss Valerie Hughes.
Oh, yes, she's between what and who.
Hmm?
What and who.
Oh. Miss Hughes?
Yes?
My name is Stephen Randall. I'm a friend of Dr. Jeffries.
Yes?
I'd like to talk to you about Florian Knight.
Is this Jeffrey's idea?
No, I was supposed to work with Dr. Knight in Amsterdam. Now, I understand he's backing out of the project. I just wanted to know why.
I've already told Jeffries. Florian is quite ill.
What's the matter with him?
Exhaustion. Physical and emotional. He's been working under a great strain these last few months. Jeffries ought to know that better than anyone.
Why should Jeffries know that?
I don't think it concerns you, Mr. Randall.
It concerns me.
It's a private matter.
I want to talk to Florian Knight.
I'm sorry, he's not talking to anyone at the moment. Please excuse me.
I'll see the man with or without you.
Wait a minute. I can't promise anything, but if you'll come here this evening, we'll see if he's up to it.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, it's no use. I tried. I'm afraid he can't be disturbed.
4,000 miles to see
Please.
Doc tonight, I'm going to say.
Who is it?
My name is Stephen Randall.
Oh, yes. Yes. Prince of the PR. I'd offer you some sherry, but you won't be staying.
See, you're feeling a lot better.
I'm not ill. I never was.
So why did you quit Resurrection 2?
I'm withdrawing for personal reasons.
Such as?
Bernie Jeffries has wasted 2 years of my life. I'll not allow him another minute. He enticed me into leaving Oxford to come to this foul city to work on some earth-shaking paper that he was preparing. That's what he told me.
Well, he wasn't exactly misrepresenting.
Oh, no? Having me work on disconnected fragments of some puzzle without telling me that it was a translation of a new gospel? And you say that he wasn't misrepresenting.
Florian, please, you're upsetting
He's
yourself.
a pompous, deceitful liar.
Jeffries thinks it's authentic, is it?
Don't believe anything on Jeffries' say-so.
Other experts have authenticated.
Look, you don't know a damn thing about it. You're an amateur.
What are you trying to tell me?
Nothing but this. No scholar on earth knows more about the historical Jesus Christ than I do. And no one deserves to be at the forefront of this project more than Florian Knight. So until I see their bloody papery with my own eyes, I don't accept it.
Well, then come to Amsterdam and solve your problems and mine.
Too late. Too little, too late. Valerie, I feel beastly awful. Show Mr. Randall to the door, will you?
And I can find it.
Please don't judge Florian too harshly. He's been through hell these last few
I'm
weeks.
sorry to hear it, but I got my own problems. If he can't do the job, I'll find somebody who can.
Please don't replace Florian. Not till you've heard me out. The fact is, Florian is not a well man. He's suffered severe migraine headaches for the past 5 years, and they get worse whenever he's upset.
So how does Jeffries come into it?
He betrayed Florian. He got him to work with him with a promise of the Regis Chair at Oxford. That promise has been broken.
Why?
The eminent doctor sees himself as head of the World Council of Churches. The Regis Chair is an excellent platform for his candidacy.
This is all very enlightening.
Look, please, Mr. Randall. Florian needs resurrection, too. The demons have taken momentary possession, but he can contribute so much. And he is the best scholar in his field. I refuse to let pride stand in his way.
Can you get him back on the project?
I don't know. It would take a little time.
I haven't got much time to give you. I've got my own demons.
A few days. That's all I'm asking.
Valerie?
England struck first on a header by Carrington at 7:04 of the first half. Italy then tied the score when Kotzer broke free on a pass from Pisani and beat Sutton, being...
Sorry I was late. Couldn't be helped.
You're lost, my dear. Did you find the missing professor?
Yeah, I found him, but he's,
Our roving correspondent, Cedric Plummer, has an interview with Dominee Martin de Vroom, head of the Dutch Reformed Church.
And it is my deep concern that it will soon be foisted on the public by a group of publishers who represent the greedy elements of a crumbling Orthodox church.
May we infer, Dominee, that you detect sinister motives in this publication?
I would regard as sinister any attempt to make the New Testament irrelevant in this changing world. And I would ask true Christians everywhere to boycott this exploitation of our belief by ignoring this shoddy and unholy deception, and keep meaningful the message of the symbolic Jesus, familiar to suffering people everywhere.
Thank you, Dominee. This is Cedric Plummer in Amsterdam.
And now back to the World Cup.
George Wheeler wasn't exaggerating.
He's really something.
6-4.
He's too much about our business.
To go into it ties and lead their division. Brazil had a very difficult match with Spain. That is surprising because...
What you said upstairs? Our business. What did you mean?
It means we leave tomorrow.
For Amsterdam.
For Amsterdam and the word.
How was your trip?
All right. Been watching the tube?
Yes, I told you that we had enemies.
I believe you.
Well, we can take care of it. However, we're going to have to move the publication date up 2 weeks. Think you can handle it?
Yeah, I'll give it a try.
Can you handle it?
Yeah, I can handle it.
This car will take you to the Amstel Hotel. We're staying at the Krasnopolsky.
Why 2 hotels?
Security. I don't want them to know where you're staying.
When do I get to read the translation?
Right away. I want you to meet Theo. He'll be your chauffeur and your bodyguard. I'll call you.
Chat et tu.
What does that mean?
That's Dutch for how are you?
I'm fine.
You know, it's hard to share you with a memory.
Even an old and faded one?
Is that all it is?
What's bothering you?
Jet lag. Old age.
Mr. Randall, this message just came for you, sir.
I thought nobody knew where we were staying.
So did I. Where's the terrace?
Here.
Thank you. I'll be up in a minute. What do you want, Mr. Plummer?
Oh, how gratifying to be recognized. That's one of the advantages of exposure on the telly. Do call me Cedric. Why not join me? Perhaps I'll make a full disclosure.
I'm very busy. What do you want?
Resurrection 2 must be very demanding. What can we offer you? They do excellent martinis.
Some scotch and nice.
Lovely city, Amsterdam, don't you think? A delightful bouillabaisse of frivolity, tradition.
What do you want?
I want first look at the advanced proofs of your New Testament.
I don't know what you're talking about.
I'm in a highly competitive business, and I'll pay well, irresistibly well. I don't know everything yet, but I shall, long before you're prepared to release the story officially.
Then?
It's up to you. I can either help your dear old Jesus, or I can bury him.
Theo, park it. I'll call you. All right, fine. The side entrance, it's less conspicuous.
Why? Cedric Plummer tagged me at the Amstel when we were checking in.
Cedric Plummer?
That's right. The reporter that interviewed DeVroom on the BBC knows about Resurrection 2.
Oh, heaven help us. How much? How much?
Enough.
Maybe we ought to change your hotel room.
With your security, they'd be waiting for us in the lobby.
Well, I feel very sorry about this.
George asked me if I could handle it. I said I'd handle it, but I need a little help. Gloria Knight won't come to Amsterdam. DeVroom and Plummer know more about Resurrection 2 than I do. I've been hired to publicize something I've never seen. Now, I don't unpack my bags until I've read the word.
You'll see it first thing in the morning, all right?
All right, first thing in the morning.
We've taken over the first and second floors. We've had them sealed off.
What do you tell the guests?
That the floors are being renovated.
Inspector Eldering, Miss Nicholson, Mr. Randall.
Welcome. Sure. I have your pass cards.
Thank you.
Why are they different colors?
The red card, grade A, means access to nearly everything. The gold card is given only to the 5 publishers and myself. The other cards have certain restrictions. Nothing to do with you personally.
What does it have to do with?
Background profile, that sort of thing. In your case, it's simply a matter of insufficient data, which explains why we have to provide you, Mr. Randall, with a technical secretary, one that we have been able to check out for some months.
She'll be very useful to you. She's a top biblical scholar. Her name is Laurie Cook. She'll handle the biblical research side. Miss Nicholson, of course, will continue on PR.
George,
Don't worry about it. That's fine.
Nico, will you please bring Miss Nicholson up to Saal F? That's a general offices.
Dinner at the Amstel at 8.
If I'm cleared for the main dining room.
I should familiarize you, Mr. Randall, with the security apparatus.
Yes, and then I'll have Naomi introduce you to your staff.
It's like a bank vault.
Well, during World War II, it was used to store international currency.
In here, we have complete control. The word is guarded by a series of sequence locks that is absolutely foolproof. Outside, it's a bit more difficult.
So it's not impossible.
We're trying.
Try harder.
It won't happen again, Mr. Randall.
We haven't had much time to talk.
If you're feeling guilty, don't. I don't. I keep my body and my soul separate, Mr. Randall. You have the former for one night. It's nice. But Jesus has my soul forever.
Well, I envy you.
We can talk about it later if you wish. Tonight?
Not your soul.
Certainly not my soul. Gentlemen, meet Mr. Steve Randall, Patty O'Neill,
Hello, Patty.
Lester Cunningham,
Lester.
and Oscar Edlund, our photographer.
Any good pictures, Oscar?
Not too bad, considering what I had to work with. It's required infrared to make the words legible.
Yeah, how many prints?
Just one left, and you've got it in your file cabinet under lock and key.
Publication date's been moved up, so I'm going to need some features on Carl Hennig.
We've been accumulating information on his special presses in Mainz.
Good. Give me some more, huh? And gentlemen, Augusto Monte. My file has next to nothing on him. I don't even know whether he's alive or dead.
What good is he to us dead?
Well, dead, I can sell him as a martyr or a saint. I can also use him alive. I can't sell him missing.
I think he's somewhere in Italy.
Find out for me, will you, Patty? Gentlemen, have I got an office?
You have an office? Ah, Mr. Randall, Laurie Cook.
Hello, Laurie.
How do you do? And this is Hans Bogardus, our chief librarian.
Mr. Bogardus.
I'm extremely honored, sir.
Mr. Bogardus, Augusto Monte.
Yes?
I want to know who he is, what he is, where he is, on Patty O'Neill's desk as soon as possible.
I will start tomorrow.
Today?
In the next 10 minutes, Mr. Randall.
Thank you.
If you need me, I'll be at my desk.
Thank you, Lord.
And if you need me, I'll be at my desk. Excuse me?
Tell me about it.
What?
Come on, Randall. I've seen that look before.
Naomi Dunn has dedicated her soul to Jesus.
It's not her soul I'm thinking of.
Where did this come from?
Maybe Wheeler sent it as a housewarming gift. Yes, sir.
Is this yours, Lord?
No, sir.
Thank you.
Why the third degree?
Property of the Dutch Reformed Church, Westerkirk.
So?
So I think it's an invitation. It's a nice cat. Siamese.
Yes. What a marvelous breed. Part human, part monkey, part cat.
Sounds like a description of most of us.
So it does.
This was a very convoluted way of getting me here, Dominie. That is the correct title, Dominie?
I'm indifferent to titles, Mr. Randall.
Not indifferent to intrigue.
I thought you might be impressed by the extent to which we have penetrated your security.
You and Cedric Plummer.
Oh, Mr. Plummer is merely in search of a story, an entertainment to divert his many viewers.
You subsidizing it?
No. Plummer and I have a tenuous alliance. We're both after the same thing, but with entirely different motives.
Well, what are your reasons? Theological? Political?
Everything is ultimately political. It depends upon one's purpose. Hitler was a politician. So was St. Thomas. But one was a devil and the other was a saint. Your smile, Mr. Randall, would place me among the devils. The truth is, I have directed my life into returning the church to the people, re-evaluating the scriptures in realistic terms. This new discovery, from everything we are given to understand, can only serve to further deify Christ. Take him out of our reach so that the common man cannot touch him or be touched by him. That is not why our Lord lived, or what he lived for. I intend to defend the faith and keep the profiteers out of the temple.
You condemn a discovery you've never read. Why? Because it's not yours? You unleash Cedric Plummer to wag his tail in glory while you stand in the doorway of heaven. As what, the protector of the faith?
And what about your Mr. Wheeler? Do you think he is in this out of religious conviction? And who are his disciples? The eminent Dr. Jeffries, who would embrace Judas to become head of the World Council of Churches.
You're after the same job.
In my case, I would like to think the job sought the man.
Even if you say so yourself. Huh?
And who are the rest of Wheeler's troops? Ogden Towery, who would buy him and his Bible to add to his collection of casinos, hotels, and tankers. But above all, if the word were true, why hire you? Our Lord has no need of public relations.
Goodbye, Dominique.
You asked me if I've read the word. Tell me, Mr. Randall, have you?
The word, Mr. Randall. Temperature and humidity controls. The originals. In her hermetically controlled cabinets. The Gospel according to James. The American edition of the page proof.
I am James, brother of Jesus, eldest of the Lord's surviving brethren, son of Joseph of Nazareth. His testimony is my witness and recollection. He was arrested and crucified with Dismas and Gestas, but he did not die. But he did not die. Whether my brother and our Lord had died and been resurrected by God or through medicine and God's will, I'm unable to say. His voice was deep and musical and gave comfort to his followers, and to the poor and the suffering and the oppressed, the poverty-stricken and the weak. He continued preaching, his appearance altered by his suffering, until he was 54 years of age when he was crucified once more. On this occasion, he actually died. His death was followed by his resurrection and ascension to the kingdom of heaven. My brother lived and died as a man. He still lives as the Son of God. I end this chronicle with my salutation written in my own hand. James, brother to Jesus.
$200,000 worth of equipment destroyed.
4 men dead, George.
Yes, of course. Evil, absolute evil.
How do you feel?
Oh, I feel great.
Well, at least we recovered the word.
Did you finish it?
Yes.
Well.
Let's go to work, George.
We tracked down Augusto Monte.
Where?
Rome.
Arrange a meeting.
It's already been done for tomorrow morning. Then you go on to Mainz to see Hennig.
I'm Angela Monti. May I come in?
Oh, of course.
Mr. Randall, I apologize. You came here to see my father, Augusto Monti.
And?
He's in Egypt.
I was told he was going to be here in Rome.
He left only hours ago. I am sorry.
Well, I'm sorry, too. I came all the way from Amsterdam to say hello to him.
What can I say?
Why is he in Egypt?
If you'll give me a chance.
Sure, sure. A chance to do what?
A chance to have a drink, to talk, to explain.
We'll have a drink. You'll explain. We'll talk.
Mr. Randall, may I ask you something?
Sure.
Are you always this rude?
Yes. I'd say yes.
One of his influential colleagues has constantly discredited my father's discoveries. He had the Institute send him on this present dig in Egypt. I am an archaeologist myself. I have worked with my father for years. I should be able to answer any questions you may have about the discovery at Ostia Antica.
A couple of days ago, I read the word. What did I read?
The Gospel of James the Just, discovered by my father, Augusto Monti. Is that what you wanted to hear? Good.
You said he left yesterday.
It was very painful for him to be exiled again.
About a half an hour ago in my room, you said he left 2 hours ago. Now you say he left yesterday. Which is it? Yeah. Here. There should be enough left for you, Senorita.
Mr. Randall, I lied about my father's disappearance.
Why?
Because I don't know where he is. When your Miss Dan called, she insisted on your meeting him. She said his work, all the years, all the pain, were in your hands. Have you met Herr Henning?
Tomorrow morning.
I see.
A few days ago, 4 men were killed trying to steal proofs of the word. Now, how do I know you're Augusto Monti's daughter?
Ask anybody in Rome.
No, thank you.
Mr. Randall, you were thinking you came to Rome on a wild goose chase.
That's what I'm thinking.
I feel responsible.
So?
My father and I, we met Herr Henning briefly a few years ago. He should be able to recognize me.
And maybe not.
Let me come with you. What have you got to lose? I can be helpful. And I want to protect my father. I want to make sure he gets the credit he has worked all his life for. Is there anything wrong with that, Mr. Randall?
Attenzione, la signora Palermo Amelia si rechi all'ufficio informazione. La signora Amelia Palermo all'ufficio informazione.
No sleeping accommodations?
Well, this is all I could get.
We can talk.
No, you talk, I'll sleep.
At least you're consistent.
Here we are.
Alberti Heldring a Krasnopolski. Sono partiti per Mainz.
You get the car.
Well, where are you now? Did you see Professor Monty? Well, why not? Oh, I see. Oh, that's nice. Oh, of course. I'm not jealous. When are you coming back here? Is she coming with you? Okay, Steve. I'm sorry. Steve, call me. I miss you. Bye. He's in Mainz with Monty's daughter. On his way to see Hennig.
You're getting very good at this.
Too good.
I'm Stephen Randall. I have an appointment to see Herr Hennig. Thank you. Stephen Randall, Herr Hennig.
I'm very pleased to meet you, Mr. Randall, and I've heard a very great deal about you.
Thank you.
Oh, my God. My memory is not what it used to be. It's Professor Monty's daughter, Angela. How are you? And how's your father?
He's fine, Herr Hennig. Thank you.
Good. Welcome to Mainz. Did you know that we are at present on a limited run of the advanced pulpit edition, and as soon as Resurrection 2 is announced, we shall be in full production.
Can you get the copies out in time?
Follow me. Typesetting, printing, binding, all electronic. And of course, computerized control.
Isn't it true, Herr Hennig, that it took the monks of the Middle Ages 30 to 40 years to accomplish what you can do in a few hours?
Considerably less.
What about security?
We have 10 highly qualified and trustworthy men who don't only work here, but also live on the premises.
That's a lot of people to trust.
A lot of work we have to do.
Who checked them out?
I did.
Not Heldering?
Mr. Randall, you've no authority to question me or my decisions.
I have the authority to question anything and anyone.
Well, perhaps we misunderstood each other?
Perhaps.
Herr Hennig, telephone.
Oh, excuse me one moment, please.
The word final in print. I wish my father...
You wish your father what?
And you will tell Mr. Wheeler that...
Tell Mr. Wheeler that all is well in Mainz.
Thank you. Auf Wiedersehen.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Dad, you drive. I still haven't had any sleep.
Where to?
To the airport, and then we go to Amsterdam.
Amsterdam?
Yeah?
I've got things to do in Rome.
But listen, I need Professor Monty. I don't have Professor Monty, so I'm going to hang on to the only Monty I got.
Mr. Randall.
I got 2 weeks to put this thing together. If your father doesn't show up by then, you're the professor.
Do you always get what you want?
Not always, but on the plane, I will convince you that I am good, kind, considerate, loyal, trustworthy, honest, straightforward. Please, Amsterdam.
Amsterdam.
Good.
You're angry, Mr. Rambo. You think you have uncovered a serious breach in our security?
Your security's a joke.
Dames, windelwerk alsjeblieft. We have everything ready, yes?
Ja, meneer.
You run it for Mr. Randall?
Okay.
This is January. Now, stop there. Zoom in. Hennig and Plummer.
Was that January of this year?
As far as we know, that was the first meeting, yes. Next tape, Kiss. Hennig was in Zurich for the International Book Fair this spring.
Yeah, so was I.
Yes, you stayed at the Hilton. You and, Miss Nicholson.
What's Plummer to Henning, and what has he given him?
Patience, Mr. Randall. Next. I apologize for the quality of these prints. They are very old copies of copies. Kiss, stop the picture. Does this young man look familiar to you?
No.
I think the resemblance is stronger here. Do you want me to translate?
No.
Eldering, send him straight in. In point of fact, a complete dossier on the party activities of one Karl Hennig.
Guten Tag, meine Herren.
Hennig, nice of you to come on such short notice.
What is so urgent that I must leave just when we're putting the book to type?
Mr. Randall.
You know what's going on in Mainz.
Cedric Plummer.
Plummer, who's he?
Yes. Punch up the January 19th surveillance.
Yes, sir.
Nothing. It's coincidence. It can easily be explained.
And this next film, can this be explained too? Yes. Channel C, please.
What is this picture? It's a composite. Someone fabricated. It has nothing to do with me.
So we need a Nazi for a publisher.
Almighty God. I tried to make up for it. Ask anyone who knows me. In Israel, they've named libraries after my father. I send them books every month.
What'd you tell Plummer?
Nothing. He asked for an advance copy. I didn't give it to him. Resurrection 2 is my resurrection as well. My salvation.
Stall him, Hennig. Stall him.
I swear to you, whatever Plummer learns, he won't learn from me. Will you excuse me, please?
Mr. Randall.
Yes?
It's a delicate matter. As you know, we have been withholding security clearance for Miss Nicholson. Perhaps it might be wise for you to find a replacement.
A replacement? Why?
Well, let's say we security people like to be overly cautious.
What's the problem?
I'm not sure there is one.
Yeah, well, you'll have to do better than that. She's not just an employee around here.
That's precisely why I made my request.
I'd like some evidence, some facts. You have those?
Yes, she has been observed in the wrong places with the wrong people.
With who? Where? What?
Well, you see, that's what we are trying to ascertain. If you wish, I will take care of the matter myself.
I'll talk to her. What?
I guess I make a lousy Bible salesman.
What's the matter, Tony?
Oh, what do you mean?
Hellring wants me to fire you. Why?
How do I know? I don't think I've killed anyone recently. Knocked over any bank.
Tony, come on, come on. What?
Stephen, I know. I haven't read the word. I'm not a member of the club.
It's not funny.
Well, what the hell do you want? The Sermon on the Mount?
How about the truth?
You want the truth? Okay. I'm sick of this sanctimonious, Bible-thumping Jesus scene. I am really sick of the word. I am sick of your new holier-than-thou attitude. I'm sick of your distrust. I'm sick of the whole scene, if you want to know.
Why don't you go home?
If that's what you want, it's fine. But let me tell you something. You're a fraud. A pious fraud. The word, Steve, resurrection too. And James the Just. I love that one. My God, what a joke. You'd become a Mohammedan if the price was right, Randall. I'm going home.
I'll give you some money.
I can take care of myself. I've been doing it for a long time. Nothing's changed. And nothing ever will.
Randall! Hello?
Florian, what are you doing in Amsterdam?
I don't know why that should come as a surprise to you, Randall. You persuaded Valerie to talk me into it.
Don't you want no part of Resurrection 2?
Resurrection 2 happens to be the best thing going for a scholar specializing in Aramaic. If only for negative reasons, I couldn't afford to absent myself.
Thought you couldn't work with Dr. Jeffries.
You convinced me my place was here, and I'm here. Need we say more?
Welcome. See you tomorrow.
Yes, indeed.
When I was in seminary, Kathy, they taught me the wrong things. Homiletics, eschatology, ethics, things we don't need today. These people at Resurrection 2 will teach us all.
Domine, are you sure it comes from them?
Oh, yes. It follows the same pattern. Lies, deception. But you see, what is dangerous about it is that they are using powerful people to try to turn that lie into some kind of truth, which I do not as yet understand. And I'm going to stop them.
I'm sorry to keep you so late, Mr. Bogart.
Oh, that is all right. Ring when you're finished, Miss Cook.
Yes.
What happened?
I prayed to Jesus to cure my leg. I came to Europe looking for a miracle. I went to Lourdes, Lisieux, Turin. He never heard me.
Laurie, did this happen after you read the word?
Yes. I saw Jesus. He spoke to me.
It is a miracle. Is it?
Believe me, Mr. Randall, I didn't stage this for your benefit.
What did you say to the child that made him stop crying?
Oh, I promised I wouldn't tell his mother about the obscene book he has under his shirt. The clinic used to be a residence for the Domine.
You put it to a better use.
God must have laid his hand upon the man who built this church. Don't you think?
Why did you ask me to come here?
I can't believe you swallowed all the cheap carnival tricks. Wheeler's sleight of hand, the obvious performance by the cook woman. I can't believe I overestimated you.
She walks without a limp.
Yes, but you don't know how she was before. The frustration, the craving for attention. Is this the person you've elevated to the sainthood?
Not saint. A lady with trouble. Now she has lost her trouble somehow.
Somehow it's not logical.
Dominique, there are some things that cannot be explained logically.
You know, the recent convert can burn with a piety that scorches the earth.
Yeah, well, all I know is I'm not the same man I was 2 weeks ago.
Another miracle?
Maybe.
You know, you belong with us, not with those salesmen at Resurrection 2.
You're not in the selling business, Dominique?
Perhaps. But I would not sell out my own people, as one of your co-workers has betrayed you. You nurture a Judas in your midst, Mr. Randall. Your faith, your trust is built on sand. Resurrection 2, Randall, faith, Randall, like your book of James the Just. Lies.
Hello, Mr. Randall. What can I do for you?
Leave.
What?
You're fired.
Why?
The room and plumber. I'd like you out of here now.
Perhaps. You see, Mr. Randall, if I go, Resurrection 2 goes with me. I have found a flaw in the new Bible.
That's impossible.
The book of James the Just is a hoax. On papyrus number 9, line 4, it reads that in the year 49 A.D., Jesus made a pilgrimage to the city of Cartota and preached in the temple there. Correct.
So?
In 48, a full year before the date cited by James, the temple at Cartota was destroyed by an earthquake. Jesus preached in a temple that no longer existed. Unless you believe this is a miracle, Randall, you have to believe it's a fraud.
Did you give this to Plummer?
That Judas, he used me, Randall. He thought I'd never find out about the other men. He thought everyone has a price.
What's yours?
Put your own researchers on it, Mr. Randall. Papyrus 9, line 4. If I am wrong, I will leave.
You're not?
We will discuss it.
Have you reached Wheeler?
He's in Mainz.
The best I could do in half an hour.
Thanks, Oscar. When?
In Mainz till tomorrow.
How about Jeffries?
Yes, he said he's on his way with his notes. I'll go and check.
Okay.
Your plane ticket.
Thank you.
And the papyrus.
What are you going to do about Bogardus?
Well, I have to wait until Mr. Wheeler returns.
That may be too late.
Well, Bogardus insists he hasn't told Plummer yet.
He's trying to get an auction going. Everything to the highest bidder so we prove he's wrong. I'll check the carbon datings with Aubert. We'll get the mess cleaned up and start to work again. And then, in your opinion, the papyrus is not a forgery?
No. I've indicated only the papyrus of that period. As to the text, that I cannot answer for. If you wish to know more, you must consult with those who know how to read what is written there.
Well, we have Aramaic scholars.
There are scholars and there are scholars. Ancient Aramaic is very complex, very subtle. Each word, each character can have many meanings, several nuances.
Yes, I'm aware of that.
Fortunately, there are many men who know how to read into these nuances. Your Dr. Jeffries, Florian Knight.
Well, unfortunately, they're not disinterested parties.
Not in the room.
Same goes for him.
Well, then you must climb the summit. See the abbot Petropolis, or the monastery on Mount Athos.
Mount Athos.
The monastery Simipatra is on a remote peninsula in the Adriatic. You feel you must go see him. He has devoted his life to the study of biblical language. He is the man.
What about Aubert?
Aubert can authenticate the date of the papyrus. He cannot translate it. He suggested I climb a mountain and see an Abbot Petropolis somewhere in Greece.
Mount Athos.
That's the place.
Steve, the publication date has been moved up. You have 1,000 things to do in the office. Why do you want to go to Greece?
Hey, I didn't say I wanted to go. I just think I should go.
But it's a waste of time.
Maybe.
5 years ago, my father and I went to see the abbot to have him examine the discovery. He authenticated it.
Why didn't you tell me that?
You never asked me.
Right, I didn't. What do you say, Mitchell?
Well, that makes it unanimous. Thank you, thank you. I'm sure you made the right decision. This board session stands adjourned. Oh, Steve, I'm glad you're here. The wisdom of the board is that Bogardus must be fired immediately, and I want you to start work on the PR.
So it's going to take care of Bogardus. It won't take care of the Bogardus flaw.
There is no Bogardus flaw. It's just Bogardus. Lined up against the greatest biblical scholars in the world. Who's going to listen to a degenerate, neurotic librarian?
Well, I can think of one person, Martin de Vroom. People listen to Martin de Vroom.
That's our promise. You handle the PR. Get to work. I'll be in my office.
You know, Mr. Randall, the search for truth is a lot more fascinating than truth itself.
What's fascinating me is how you people intend to handle this.
Well, we believe in the word.
I believe in selling Bibles.
Oh, ye of little faith.
Yes, I have faith in the truth.
Can I give you a word of advice?
Sure.
Just relax and let faith enter your life. Stop fighting it. You may be surprised at how rewarding it can be.
To see the Abbot Petropolis and get an independent reading.
I told you before, my father and I saw the abbot. Where is your faith?
It has nothing to do with faith.
It has everything to do with faith.
I want to hear it for myself.
Steve? How was your trip?
Instructive.
But not conclusive?
The abbot said he wanted to see the original.
I see.
He also said that for over 1,000 years, women were not allowed in Mount Athos. You never met Petropolis? Your father never took him?
Yes. I lied.
Why?
I wanted to protect him.
Why in the hell does Augusto Monti need so much protection?
Because he cannot protect himself.
Steve, if I'll take you to him, will that answer some of your questions?
It'll be a start.
I'll go to Rome then to make the arrangements.
All right.
Steve, I love you. Remember that.
is it? Is this a new archaeological dig? A new romance?
What makes you think it's either one?
Because the last time I saw that foolish smile on your face.
Perhaps I'm reverting to my childhood.
Perhaps to your childhood lies. I always saw through them. I still do.
If you must know, there is someone.
I knew it.
But it's more than just a new romance.
Weren't they all?
Much more.
Well, if you let yourself believe you love him, it's easier to sleep with him.
Oh, this one is different. And nothing about him is easy.
So what's the problem?
He wants to see father.
Oh, but you know that's impossible.
It's very important, Carmen.
Well, is he more important than Augusto Monti?
Equally important to me.
You must love him very much. Well, let him come.
Stephen, remember my father is a great man, but he is human. This is where my father has lived for over a year. It is a mental hospital. Mi fa piacere rivederti, papà.
Have him look at this.
What do you hope to accomplish?
I don't know. Just have him look at it.
Papà, ti prego. La conosci? Sì. Sì.
What did he say? What did he say?
He said, God, why hast thou forsaken me? Those are the only words he said to me in 18 months.
A man at the height of his career, all of a sudden this, why?
I don't know.
Let's go.
Do you think he feels God has abandoned him because he no longer believes in this?
I don't know what to think. That's why I'm here.
You're here because you have a question. Is my father's find authentic? You need an answer. He's the only person who can give you one. So we will try harder and a little harder. Papà, questo uomo a chi io voglio bene deve sapere qualcosa sul papiro. o sta rischiando la sua carriera sulla nuova Bibbia basata sulla tua scoperta a Ostia Antica. Aiutalo, papà. Ti prego. Aiutalo. Conosci ogni riga, ogni parola. Non lasciarlo andare avanti in questa impresa se c'è qualcosa che non va. Se c'è qualcosa che è stato alterato. Se c'è qualcosa qua che non è autentico, papà. Guarda. Guarda, dimmi. Io devo sapere.
Let it go. Let it go.
Let it go. You put us through agony. You squeeze out every drop. When we're empty, you say, let it go. What kind of a man are you? What is inside of you?
Sorry.
I just can't see him like this. What if there is no answer?
There is an answer, and we'll find it. I'd like to speak to the director. Well, does it mean anything to you?
Nothing.
The director of the clinic.
Dr. Venturi. He's on the first floor center. Buongiorno, Attilio. He's a patient. He brings his little dog every day to visit my father. I think it's good for both of them, even though they never say a word.
You coming?
I've had too many such meetings. I'll stay here with my father.
We have tried to reach you. We've used every technique we know. And we failed.
He drew this for me.
It's fascinating.
What does it mean?
Well, obviously he's trying to communicate something. You know, this sign, this symbol, was used by the early Christians to recognize each other during the persecution. Perhaps he identifies with it.
How about the, what is it, a spear?
Yes, it would seem to have a negative connotation, but who knows?
How long has he been like that?
He was admitted over a year ago, but since then, almost nothing. He's a man running away from the world. Actually, we know very little of this case.
What do you know?
Only that when the professor suffered his breakdown, he was returning to the university from an appointment outside.
With whom?
We don't know.
That's all?
Tutto, that's all.
Keep a record of his visitors?
His daughters don't want us to disturb him.
So none at all.
There was a man this past month who expressed interest in our methods, and he talked to quite a few of the patients. Spent some time with Professor Monti. He was a clergyman, I think.
Catholic priest?
No, a Dutch minister, I believe.
Randall e la figlia hanno lasciato adesso la bella vista.
116. Thank you.
Randall. Don't seem at all surprised to see me, or pleased.
Nothing you do surprises me, Plummer.
And how did the visit go with your father, Signorina Monti?
I'll be in the room.
Signorina.
And one of the doctors on the payroll at Bella Vista?
That's somewhat like asking a magician for to look up his sleeve.
What do you want, Plummer?
Do me the kindness of meeting me at the Caracalla Baths in 1 hour.
Why should I?
Because you're looking for the truth, as I am. Isn't that why we're both here in Rome? I believe I found it.
You haven't answered the question.
Why should you trust me?
That's the question.
Because you can't afford not to. I know you, Randall. You'll be there.
Oh, where's your mystery man, Plummer? I'm beginning to believe he doesn't exist.
You saw the letter he wrote me. What more do you want?
The man. Here. If Randall is to be convinced.
Wait. Well,
What does he look like?
grizzled old man dressed in rags, thick eyeglasses.
Well, age doesn't appear to slow him down. Or perhaps he disappeared in a puff of smoke. Or perhaps he's just another one of your fantasies.
Lebrun is as real as you are, Dominic.
Then where is he?
Damn, it's you. He's recognized you. Probably thinks I'm trafficking with the church.
Come, you can't expect me to believe that. I was foolish to accept your story on so little evidence.
I've been in this business too long not to detect the smell of truth. I'd stake my reputation on Robert Lebrun.
I doubt if Mr. Randall would be suitably impressed with your reputation to believe anything staked on it, sir. Find Lebrun, if Lebrun exists.
If you'll excuse me.
You get around, Dominique.
I go where God's work takes me.
Why are we here?
Mr. Plummer assured me that a certain man would meet us here, but I hope you'll accept my apology for taking you away from Signorina Monti.
Who is the man and what does he know?
Name, Robert Lebrun. He was described to me as a man in his 60s, slightly stooped, wears thick glasses. He wrote to Cedric Plummer after learning of Plummer's attacks on Resurrection 2. Plummer asked for a meeting. Here we are.
You know, Dominique, for a man as wise as you, you're sort of gullible.
On the contrary, I share your doubts. The earth is teeming with crackpots, and I was prepared to dismiss this one. Until Plummer showed me a letter.
The letter convinced you that the man exists.
Not only exists, Mr. Randall, but knew things about Resurrection 2 that neither Plummer nor I could unearth, if you like, in 6 months of digging.
Such as?
Well, the letter spoke of Professor Monti's discovery in Ostia Antica. Now, all of us on the outside knew that the discovery had been made in Italy, which related to the new Bible, but not the precise location of the find. Here was information that only the inner circle of your project could have access to.
You believe that without any hard evidence?
No, but like you, I am a seeker after the truth. You see, Randall, we have a common cause.
There is a basic difference between us. I'm willing to accept the fact that Resurrection 2 might be a phony if somebody will give me the proof. You, on the other hand, won't believe it's truth, no matter how much evidence you see.
Perhaps you judge me so harshly because you're unwilling to admit how much alike we are.
Dr. Venturi said that on the day your father suffered his breakdown, that he'd just come back from an appointment. I'd like to know who he talked to that day.
I don't know.
Did he keep a calendar, appointment book?
Yes. Over here.
Robert LeBrun. Tuckalina, what's that?
A cafe.
He's arrived. Just over there.
May I buy a drink?
Who are you?
My name is Stephen Randall.
What do you want?
You know Professor Monty?
Monty? What do you know of Monty?
Well, I'm a friend of one of his daughters. I saw the professor this morning.
Where? Where did you see him?
At the Villa Bella Vista. You were here with Professor Monty on the day he had his breakfast.
That waiter, I have not seen him here before.
What's the matter?
Cannot be too careful, you understand?
What does that mean?
How do I know you are who you say you are?
Show you some identification.
Anything can be forged.
Here. The professor drew this for me.
Now leave me alone, Mr. Randall. This is sanctuary. Go. Leave me.
I don't think you know anything anyway, LeBron. Fake. Bum.
I, James of Jerusalem, brother of the Lord Jesus Christ, heir of the Lord, eldest of the Lord's surviving brethren, and the son of Joseph of Nazareth, am soon to be brought before the Sanhedrin and the high priest Ananias, charged with seditious behavior
because of my leadership of the followers of Jesus in our community. You read it?
I wrote it. I am James the Just. These events I witnessed.
Who hired you? The broom, plumber?
Those gnats, those midgets. It was my idea, mine. The Aramaic inscriptions, the burial of the papyri of Doste Antica, every aspect of your resurrection too. A brilliant deception, a magnificent hoax. And if every word I have told you now is not true, let him, your Christ, King of the Jews, come down from his cross and strike me dead.
Professor Monty.
Monty knew. That's why he drew this for you. The fish means Christianity. The spear, the death of Christianity. The word, it is all a lie.
LeBron! Hey, come on. Wait a minute. Listen to me, will you? I'm on your side.
How do you know what my side is?
5 minutes, huh? 5 minutes. Just 5 minutes, and I'll let you do what you want. Let you go on your way. 5 minutes?
Where did it all begin? They say that no man ever lacks a good reason to kill himself. I had my first good reason the day I was born. To a Montparnasse ore and their Corsican mackerel. The streets of Montparnasse. They were my first home, my school, my church. During my undergraduate days at the reformatory colleges, I learned that the best way to get money was not to steal it, but to make it. I developed a small skill at forgery into what the prosecutor at my trial called minor works of art. They led me to my second home, a prison cell. Here I spent 4 years. And here I decided never again to gamble my life and freedom on small banknotes. If I was going to lose, c'est la vie, but if I was going to win, I wanted to win big. I would forge a document that would plunder the French treasury itself. A large denomination national treasury note. I lost big. I was sentenced to spend the rest of my life on a penal colony at French Guiana, which you know as Devil's Island. L'île du Diable. Life on Devil's Island. That is droll. It was a death, a living, filthy death. No hell could match that place. I swore that somebody someday would pay. Whatever I did with the rest of my life, that was a debt I would collect.
From who? The world?
Yes, if necessary. That agony, those years, that hell, I did not suffer for nothing. Even God himself could not be that unjust. An eye for an eye, huh? After that first flogging, my only dream was of escape. Impossible. Or of suicide. And then, one day, a miracle happened. The prison chaplain, Father Pacan, had heard of my talents, especially my forgery of an illuminated medieval Bible. He said he wanted to help me. He said I was God's child, and I believed him. I would have believed the devil if he'd held out his hand. He asked the commandant to assign me to help renovate the camp chapel, the only one on all the prison islands. He suggested the walls be painted with ancient Christian symbols, the fish, the lamb, the cross, and the new windows be etched with quotations, Greek and Aramaic from the New Testament. I was fortunate, or cursed, depending on how you look at it, that the curé was a true scholar. He taught me, helped me, guided me through his collection of Latin, Greek, and Aramaic texts, copies of ancient papyri. I learned a great deal from Pacan. I also learned that only through God and his Son could a man find hope and peace and love. For the first time in my rotten, maggoty existence, I didn't seek death. I wanted to live. I wanted to live. What an evil charade. What a cruel joke. To offer a man heaven, he reaches for it and they snatch it away.
What happened?
World War II happened, the second war to end all wars. And they needed grist for their meals. They were running out of good Frenchmen. So Père Pacan, he come to an arrangement with the authorities. If we, his lambs, would offer ourselves as sacrifices on the altar of this great crusade, if we would volunteer to fight for la belle France, we would be pardoned. Those of us that survived the war. What had we to lose? Father Pacan had given us his word, the word of God, that we would be freed, huh? So we fought. We fought bravely, because now we had something to live for. We had so much to live for that most of us died. And the rest of us were sent back to l'île du diable. They had lied. Father Pacan, the good shepherd, had lied. The messenger of God had lied. They lied to us. I went to Father Pacan. Help us, I said. Fight for us, for God's sake, do something! You promised us heaven, and you Judas goat! You lead us back to hell! Nothing he could do, he said. Out of his hands, he said. He too was a servant, not a master. I died. That day, I died as surely as though I had been shot with a German rifle. I died. And that was the day I decided who was going to pay. I vowed revenge. Eternal revenge. Not on that one clergyman, but on the church, on Christianity, on Christ himself. During the endless years of my second imprisonment, I made myself an expert on New Testament lore, on Aramaic and Greek, on papyrus and Pacan, the good Christian, forgave me. What specialized books and materials Pacan could not supply were purchased through the prison underground, with funds provided by my forgeries of medieval manuscripts, mailed to Paris by a cooperative guard who took a 30% commission. Then, in 1953, the prison colony at Devil's Island was abandoned. We were returned to the mother country and set free. I was now ready to begin.
What made you think you could fool scholars and theologians?
By learning more than any of them. Revenge, Randall, is a powerful motive. More powerful than love.
How did you make a papyrus? Did it pass their tests?
By not making them. Actually, the papyrus was the least difficult element of the forgery, though perhaps the most dangerous. You see, many ancient papyri in the great museums are blank at the beginning and at the end. And some codices have unused leaves. And I had made many useful friends in prison. We took only those papyri and parchments dating exactly to the 1st century. The British Museum was particularly fruitful. For ink, I used a special aging chemical with lamp black and vegetable gum, the very formula used by the scribes from 30 through to 62 AD. Facts were the basis of my fiction, monsieur. I used documented sources like the so-called Epistula Jacobi Apocrypha, a collection of sayings attributed to Jesus. Almost every concept in my forgery was based on authentic ancient manuscripts.
So you just gave them what they wanted. Authentic documents that would confirm their speculation.
Precisely.
Some of the most learned experts in the world have already authenticated the writings of James the Just.
Ha! Their egos would not let them do otherwise.
Incredible.
Inevitable would be a better word anyway. Now we come to the last 2 decisions I had to make. My first real difficulty. Where and how I would bury the documents. And who I would choose to discover them.
Augusto Monti.
A calculated risk. To choose a man of integrity, daring, was brilliant detective work in exposing other archaeological hoaxes that made him internationally famous. While a professor of such exalted reputation could, with one lift of an eyebrow, expose and destroy the work of decades, he could also, with one smile, make all the world accept that work as authentic beyond question. So I baited him with a fragment of authentic papyrus, which I pretended to have discovered in an ancient case in the vicinity of Ostia Antica ruins, where he had always predicted such a find. The rest, you know. The esteemed professor was, of course, overjoyed by his great find, as was I, the perpetrator of this great hoax.
Did he give you money for your help?
A modest sum out of gratitude, and only after exhaustively testing the authenticity of his discoveries, even using his own carbon-14 dating process. Unfortunately for the professor, I was looking for big money. He was opposed to paying an exorbitant price for a clue he felt was provided in the interest of scholarship. He assumed I too believed in the importance of his work for future generations. You can imagine his shock when I told him I had made him my cat's paw. That the astonishing find at Ostiantica was a hoax. That his important breakthrough was my hoax. And that I intended to blackmail him. Alas, your Professor Monty proved to be a man of unshakable integrity. He would not pay blackmail under any circumstances. He denounced me as a liar, a fraud who could not possibly have perpetrated such a hoax. He obviously believed in the discovery with all his heart. Well, there was only one way to deal with such a righteous man. Show him proof, make him a believer in me. So I took him to the same church where I revealed the great lie to you, my friend. I showed him a fragment that fit into the lacuna or gap in papyrus number 3. You must remember that Monty knew every jagged edge and hole, every Aramaic character of the original. He saw almost instantly that this fragment bore the missing words in James' list of the Brethren of Jesus. He knew it would fit exactly into the irregular gap in the papyrus he had found in Ostiantica. He realized what that meant. I was telling the truth. His beautiful bubble burst just like that. What could I do? I had nothing against Monty. I meant him no harm. I needed someone. Monty was the obvious choice. I did not expect to drive him mad, to put him in Bella Vista.
But you did.
So be it. I will add it to my other sins.
If Monty had given you the money, would that have kept you quiet?
You really think that any amount of money would have kept me from my purpose?
The destruction of Christianity.
Precisely. Monty was perfect for his part. Now, you are for yours. You have convinced me.
Why not Cedric Plummer? He's already attacked Resurrection 2.
Yeah, I do not trust Plummer working for a clergyman. I am not a fool. The church would acquire the proof of my hoax, and then they would suppress it to protect their false Bible.
I'm not convinced.
You will believe, Mr. Randall, just as Monty did, after you have seen my proof.
Which you intend to sell me?
Why not? There is not enough money in the world to repay me for 40 years of hell. I can expect at least a gesture of atonement from the world.
I'm not the world, I'm one man.
A businessman. We will both profit if you expose this fraud.
How much is this proof gonna cost me?
I will be reasonable. If it is in American dollars, 20,000.
Just to see it.
It can be paid in 2 halves. And you will see more than Monty saw.
What's that?
It means that in Amsterdam, your publishers have 48 pieces of papyrus. Some of them with 1 or 2 portions missing. 9 lacunae in all. I have them. Each irregular piece of papyrus missing from a Resurrection 2 papyrus will fit perfectly back into it like the pieces of a jigsaw puzzle.
Where are they?
That is what you will pay me to find out, monsieur.
And can I see them? Now? Tonight?
No, impossible.
Tomorrow. Where do you live? I'll be there.
No. We meet at Dacolina Cafe. You can bring the money in American currency of small denominations. The balance will be due after you have seen the proof. Agree up? You do not trust me. Good. I like a cautious man. Which is why I trust you, Mr. Randall.
Operator, I'd like to call Paris, France. First in person to Mr. Sam Halsey. That's right, Halsey. He's with the New York Times Bureau in Paris. Yeah, call me back. Come on in, George.
Why in the name of all that's pure are you still in Rome? Why didn't you answer my call? Please, what's going on?
Doing research.
Research? At a time like this? What research?
George, something has come up, and
Something has indeed come up. And it's that you get back to Amsterdam this minute and go back to work.
I can't do that.
The press conference is Friday. Your press conference.
George, there may not be a press conference. There may not be an announcement.
Pray, why not?
Because the gospel, according to James, may be a forgery.
Heaven help us, the man's insane.
I met a man by the name of Lebrun. He claims to be the forger. His story could be true. I just think we should not make the announcement until we check it out.
That, of course, is impossible.
DeVroom, Plummer...
DeVroom and Plummer hired this worm to destroy Resurrection 2.
Maybe. But his story makes sense. It could be true.
Don't you see what they're doing? Steve Christ is with us.
Sure.
Don't deny him again. These men are wearing the many faces of his betrayer. Don't you be a Judas, please.
We'll see LeBron tomorrow.
And when he's proven false, of course, you know there'll be another.
Maybe.
All right. You get back to New York right now. I'll get somebody else to take over here.
George, ain't gonna do that, George.
Really?
Yeah, you can fire me, but I can't walk away from this. I got too much invested. I'm in, and I'm in to stay. With or without Resurrection 2, with or without you.
With or without Ogden Towery.
I'm gonna see LeBrun tomorrow.
Son, you're being a very foolish man.
It won't be the first time.
Or the last.
All that was taken from the victim's body when he was brought here. Oh, the contents are impounded, Signore, until after the inquest is concluded.
You said we could take a look.
Only look, not take. And only the one who will pay for the disposal of the body after the inquest.
How much?
The amount is in the agreement. We can arrange for a respectable church burial instead of the Campo Comune.
Nothing religious. He was not a religious man.
Perhaps the Cimitero Cattolico.
Si, signore.
Most non-believers rested.
You'd like that.
You will pay now, signore. Pronto? Ah, sì. Scusi.
Steve, 2 unused train tickets to Authentica, dated today.
He said he was going to take me to where he had his proof.
Where my father made his final excavation.
I go to Authentica.
I will take you.
Angela, what if it doesn't turn out to be
I'm
the
an
way you believe it?
archaeologist who happens to know that dig. I'm like you. I can't live in doubt. Good or bad, I must know the truth.
Parlo col colonnello comandante.
Very. But my father taught me long ago that some of history's greatest finds would never have been made if people like Augusto Monti had obeyed every sign.
Why all the torches?
They still work here. Those are primitive pictures drawn by the early Christians, graffiti. Ictus, the Greek word for fish. It's also an acronym. The initials stand for Jesus Christ. Even then, the dove was a sign for peace. They used the anchor as a disguise for the crucifix. That wall could have concealed an underground vault where a Christian family might have buried its It's dead. And kept those signs of faith cut into the rock. It's not proof. We need the missing papyrus fragments.
Let's try to find them. Use the arrow as a pointer. Start digging right here.
Wait a minute. You have to do tests and soundings with Geiger counters and other measuring devices.
How long will that take?
It'd take weeks before you could even begin to dig.
Well, we got 3 days.
Steve, be careful. Stealing an antiquity is a serious offense.
This is no antiquity.
A lot of people think it is.
Let's go.
Where?
Stop publication.
Without proof?
I have to.
And what about my father?
Your father has nothing to do with it. Your father was a victim.
You believe that?
I believe it.
No, Mr. Randall, I feel no pleasure. It's a moment of truth, not of triumph. Yes, of course, I am quite aware of the time element. They're turning the publication into a circus maximus, with our Lord as ringmaster. Yes. Yes, I agree, we should meet first. Oh, wait, I have it. Yes. Flight 23. All right, I'll meet you at customs.
Can you see him?
Not yet.
Maybe you missed him.
He's hard to miss. It's ironic, isn't it, that the Vroom, my adversary, becomes the Vroom, my ally?
That makes George Willey your enemy?
More likely Ogden Towery. He's got the money.
And if you're wrong, if Lebrun's story is the real hoax, what then?
That's all I...
You're not sure.
Not sure of anything.
And if you're wrong?
I'll buy the first 1,000 copies and hand them out on street corners.
Flight 19 to Paris, now boarding at gate 5.
Lufthansa, Flug 120, Ausgang Rhein.
I'm going to have to ask you to submit to a personal search, sir.
Why?
It won't take a moment. If you just follow me to... May I have your coat, please? You and your companion are charged with willful illegal possession of goods. And Mr. Randall, you will also face charges of assaulting an officer.
All I did but push you. Where you been?
My name is Martin de Vroom.
We are aware who you are, Dominic.
Is there a problem? These people are my friends.
Violation of customs regulations.
Oh, and what will happen to them?
Detention until they are cleared or sentenced. Or, if arrangements have been made with the head of customs, payment of a substantial fine and, of course, confiscation of this property in question.
I see. May I talk to my friends?
Of course, Dominic.
Gotta get us out of here. We haven't got much time.
Well, this may take some hours. These people can do nothing for me. But the head of customs can, and I will see him immediately. In the meantime, Mr. Randall, I'm afraid that you and Miss Monty here will have to accompany these gentlemen.
Please. That is confiscated property, Domine.
Imagine a simple piece of stone, a fish, a spear, drawn by a child.
I want to thank the court for affording me this opportunity to speak in Mr. Randall's behalf. I'm not sure that my poor powers of expression will be adequate to this tragic moment. Now, I have, of course, no way of knowing what Mr. Randall's motives were or are. It is, of course, conceivable that he did indeed ally himself with the forces that would destroy Resurrection 2, and I suppose it's even conceivable that his motive was blackmail. Joining us early on and then waiting until the stakes had reached the peak and then striking. And I suppose that he found it impossible to believe the true word of the Lord. I say impossible to believe because of the testimony of some of the greatest biblical scholars in the world, who have, many of them, come here today of their own accord to once again authenticate Resurrection 2. And, of course, those who were unable to be here, but whose testimony is on file with this court, most important of which is Professor Aubert, the final and definitive judge of the authenticity of the papyri found at Ostia Antiqa. However, the power and validity of the word must never rest with the testimony of experts. It can only finally and ultimately rest with the testimony of ordinary people, the people that our Lord loved best, people like Miss Laurie Cook, whose deposition is on file with this court, a woman who was crippled from birth and then miraculously cured by a reading of the word. Now, I am not here today to deny the crimes of Mr. Randall. The stealing of an Italian antiquity.
It is not an antiquity.
Your turn will come, Mr. Randall. Please continue, Mr. Wheeler.
Thank you. The stealing of an Italian antiquity has, of course, been attested to before this court, and his vicious attack on the customs officials of this country is unforgivable and undeniable. However, the full responsibility for these criminal actions are not Mr. Stephen Randall's. It must reside with George Wheeler, because I, and I alone, chose Mr. Randall to be our public relations counselor for Resurrection 2, and I alone, am guilty. And I therefore humbly ask the forgiveness of this court and all those people who Mr. Randall so cruelly injured. I must ask their forgiveness.
You have committed no crime, Mr. Wheeler. The defendant is Stephen Randall. Mr. Randall, you may proceed.
Words can never express my gratitude for Mr. Wheeler's generosity in offering his guilt for mine. I am a little surprised. I assumed that I was being held here on the charge of attempting to smuggle an authentic art treasure out of Italy, not the destruction of Resurrection 2. I was told this would be a hearing. Instead, it's being conducted as a trial.
A matter of semantics, Mr. Randall.
Semantics. I was persuaded to waive my right of counsel to avoid a trial. I did all that. My purpose, Your Honor, was to tell this court that this authentic art treasure is nothing but a cheap forgery. A Wheeler has chosen to use this gathering as a platform to defend his new Bible. Okay, we'll do it his way. I went to Ostia Antiqua to find the truth about a man now dead, who's on the verge of providing me with some evidence that might have invalidated Mr. Wheeler's new Bible, his Resurrection 2.
Your Honor? Yes, yes. That's pure surmise on your part, Mr. Rendell. Please proceed.
Well, if I am the defendant and Resurrection 2 is the plaintiff, so be it. There is a man in this room, a man whose presence in this court leads me to believe that his is the voice of truth, the ultimate voice of truth in this hearing. At least he's going to be my voice of truth. I'm going to call one witness and only one witness. The Most Reverend Domine Martin de Vroom. Dominique, were you not the first person to tell me about Robert Lebrun?
I believe you first learned of him through me, yes.
And what were your impressions of Mr. Lebrun?
Frankly, Your Honor, I must confess I never met Lebrun.
Dominique, isn't it true that you have taken the position for some time that Resurrection 2 is just a gimmick to sell new Bibles? Isn't that true?
Mr. Plummer and I frequently ask the same questions, but never has there been a formal working relationship between us, nor have I ever taken it upon myself to discredit anything. I seek only the truth.
This so-called art treasure that was drawn by Robert Lebrun, that means nothing to you.
History proves there are many such symbols in early Christian theology. But I have a statement to make. My role as adversary to the dedicated people of Resurrection 2 is at an end. Last night, I was permitted, for the first time, to read the Word. I read the papyri written by James the Just, and I believe. It is beyond question an authentic and inspired work. And it is more than just a national treasure of Italy. It is a treasure for all mankind. And furthermore, the Word is everything that I have ever said and everything that I have ever known. Your Honor, I believe that concludes my testimony, unless there are any further questions.
Mr. Rendell, do you have any more witnesses? Then the court is now ready to render a verdict, unless any other party present wishes to be heard.
Your Honor, I respectfully request a short recess so that I may speak to Mr. Randall privately.
Of course. There will be a 30-minute recess.
So, Steve, our rebels are now ended.
I don't think so.
Pure cussedness on your part. It's not your style, it's beneath you.
You'd like me to be the man who never was.
Why do you think I'm bothering with you?
Because you want your new Bible to be above suspicion. How you bought de Vroom, that's a mystifier.
Well, it shouldn't be. Like you, he read the word. And like you, he was inspired and persuaded.
Amazing.
Yes, it truly was. It's his salvation. It's all our salvation. We need you, Steve. Come back to us. I want you to go back in there right now. Ask the court's forgiveness. Tell them that you were just a tourist who wanted to take home a souvenir. It'll be over within 10 minutes. Believe me.
What if I don't?
5 years. Minimum.
You all right?
I was released soon after we were booked. They wanted me to testify against you. I couldn't.
And they still let you go?
Because I couldn't testify for you either.
I thought we wanted the same thing.
I don't want what happened to my father to happen to you. Look what Lebrun did to both of you.
Seems like everyone's for sale today, doesn't it?
I'm not for sale. Nobody ever bought me.
Not with money, with your father's reputation.
Is there nothing in life above suspicion? Steve, did you ever believe in or love anything?
Once. A long time ago.
Since you, Stephen Rendell, have no past criminal record, the charges of public disturbance and criminal assault are hereby dropped. Regarding the conveying of an object stolen from the grounds of antiquity, you are sentenced to 1 month in prison. However, sentence is suspended and will be reduced to 2 days confinement until the announcement of Resurrection 2, after which you will be escorted to the airport and returned to the United States.
The Gospel according to James, perhaps the greatest archaeological discovery in history, is being unveiled today in Amsterdam. Also known as the Word, this extraordinary document, 48 leaves of papyrus worth, which reaffirms the life of Jesus Christ, both as a man among men and as the spiritual messenger of the Lord, is causing a public outpouring of faith unparalleled in modern times. Perhaps it is significant that The code name of the project, which is bringing this great find to the public's attention, is Resurrection 2. For Christ certainly seems to be among us today. We will now go to Amsterdam for our live coverage of this historic announcement.
The life of Jesus, as told by his brother James and published as a New Testament, is being issued today in limited advance release. This is Cedric Plummer in the Westerkerk in Amsterdam, one of Europe's largest cathedrals and home of the Dutch Reformed Church, where the official announcement is about to take place. More than 1,000 of the international press corps, as well as billions of TV onlookers in every corner of the globe, will witness this historic event via Intelsat, a multi-circuit communications satellite.
There is a great sense of anticipation and excitement felt here in Amsterdam today. And we understand that in all the major cities of the world, people are waiting anxiously to hear the details of this amazing discovery. This document details and affirms the life of Christ. The Word has undergone rigorous scientific and historical examination by some of the world's greatest scholars and has been authenticated beyond doubt. In this imposing 17th century structure, members of the press, dignitaries from all over the world are gathered to hear the Word. This is one of the most extraordinary revelations of our time.
Lufthansa Flug 121, Ausgang 3.
Last night to the world press. Jesus did not die on the cross at Calvary, but lived on, preaching his ministry and finally settling in Rome, where he was arrested and crucified 19 years later. As Mr. Wheeler said earlier, it is truly the manifestation of God.
Dominique de Vroom has been reading to those present for several minutes from the New Testament according to James the Just. We will now pick him up live.
Jesus lived on, James affirmed. And all else James recorded, he heard from those who witnessed the continuing pilgrimage. I quote,
They've been had. Once again, the people have been had.
Without trial,
They don't think so. Look at them. Look at how moved they are.
They'll be paying for it.
Price of a new Bible? Oh, they spend more on the cinema or a soccer game. Give them their moment, Mr. Randall. Who knows? Maybe they will even be better people for it.
Other disciples removed his seared body from the cross. Jesus was lifeless. His corpse was temporarily secreted in a cave to await the fall.
Our instructions were that you were to be the last aboard.
In the night, returning with shroud and spices to embalm our Lord, Aquila and Priscilla and 7 witnesses found the cave empty.
Okay, thank you.
As they speculated upon what had become of the corpse, a circle of light with incandescent glow and Indian lights filled the mouth of the cave and revealed to them Jesus raised. Then, as the day broke, Jesus gave them blessing, and immediately he was lifted up on high and enveloped by a cloud that carried him out of their sight toward heaven. Behold, so did my brother Jesus ascend to his Maker. James
Bon voyage, Mr. Randall.
I have with my
Cheer up.
eyes seen signs and
Who knows? Perhaps one day you will find something you can believe too.
It'll have to be something better than that.
Christ is risen. Alithos anesti. He is truly risen. Amen.